Grace Emmy Rose Millane was born in December 1996 in Brentwood, Essex, England. She was the youngest of 3 children and was raised in a close, loving household alongside her 2 older brothers. Her father ran a successful construction business, providing the family with a stable and comfortable life. Grace attended St. Thomas More High School before continuing her education at the University of Lincoln. In September 2018, she graduated with a bachelor's degree in marketing and advertising. During her studies, Grace worked part-time, carefully saving money with one goal in mind: to travel. Those who knew Grace described her as warm, independent, and full of life. She was both academic and creative, often spending her free time painting. She had plans, ambitions, and a future she was excited to step into. With graduation complete, Grace chose to take a year to explore the world before beginning her career. Before leaving, she cut off her long hair and donated it to a charity that made wigs for children undergoing cancer treatment, a gesture that reflected her generous nature. Soon after, Grace said goodbye to her family and boarded a flight to Peru. Grace spent 6 weeks traveling across South America, immersing herself in new cultures, breathtaking scenery, and the friendships she made along the way. But her journey was far from over. On November 20th, she flew onward to New Zealand. She began her time in the Upper North Island, spending around 10 days exploring before arriving in Auckland on November 30th. Grace had no strict itinerary. She took each day as it came, knowing her next flight wasn't scheduled for another 5 days. It was now December 1st. The weekend had just begun, and Grace's birthday was the following day. As a solo traveler, Grace often used social apps to meet people during her journey. While in Auckland, she matched with a local man named Jesse Kempson on Tinder. Jesse messaged her persistently, and although Grace's replies were cautious at first, she eventually agreed to meet him for drinks. That evening, they met at Sky City, an entertainment complex in central Auckland. CCTV footage later captured the two greeting each other with a brief hug before heading to Andy's Burger Bar for their first drinks. The conversation appeared slightly awkward at first, but as the night went on, the tension eased, and they began to relax around each other. They later moved on to a nearby Mexican cafe, where Jesse ordered margaritas and sangria. After that, they continued to another bar, the Bluestone Room, where they were seen laughing, talking, and eventually sharing a kiss. While Jesse stepped away briefly, Grace sent a message to a friend back in England. Earlier that same day, she had told another friend that Jesse claimed to be an oil company executive who planned to move to London. The evening, at least on the surface, seemed to be going well. With several drinks shared and Grace's birthday only hours away, the pair decided to continue the night somewhere more private. CCTV footage shows Grace and Jesse walking together toward his apartment at the City Life Hotel, just a short distance away. Jesse's arm is wrapped around Grace as they enter the building and step into the elevator. This is the last time Grace Millane is ever seen on camera. The final message she sent that night would be the last communication her friends would ever receive from her. The next day, December 2nd, Grace's birthday, messages from family and friends flooded her phone. None of them were delivered. Her phone was switched off. Concern grew quickly. Grace had always stayed in close contact while traveling. As the hours passed, worry turned into alarm. Soon, the media became involved. The only trace Grace had left behind was CCTV footage, ending at an elevator, and the man she had been last seen with, Jesse Kempson. Jesse Kempson was born in 1992 and raised in Wellington, New Zealand. His childhood was unstable. When he was 9 years old, his parents separated and his mother later moved overseas. In 2013, Jesse left his family home following repeated arguments. Family members accused him of stealing and of constantly lying. Over the next few years, he moved to Australia, working sporadically as a laborer, never settling in one place for long. In 2018, Jesse returned to Auckland. By then, those around him were increasingly concerned. Former housemates described sudden mood swings, aggressive behavior, and an obsession with lying. Jesse was a pathological liar. He claimed to be an oil executive, a gang member, a professional rugby player, and even terminally ill. None of it was true. In reality, Jesse struggled to hold steady employment. He had been dismissed from multiple jobs, including his most recent role as a telephone salesman, on the very same day he met Grace. Sometime late on the night of December 1st, Jesse Kempson murdered Grace Millane in his apartment. The following morning, CCTV cameras captured his movements in chilling detail. Jesse was seen purchasing a large suitcase. Shortly afterward, he bought bleach, rubber gloves, and cleaning supplies. Later that morning, he hired a rental car. Despite what had already happened, Jesse went on another Tinder date that afternoon, acting as though nothing was wrong. That evening, surveillance footage showed him renting a carpet cleaner. Not long after, he was seen wheeling 2 heavy suitcases out of his apartment. Jesse then drove west of Auckland to Kumate. The next morning, he purchased a shovel and disposed of Grace's body in a shallow grave in the Waitakere Ranges. Afterward, he returned the rental car, cleaned it, visited a dry cleaner, and, in the days that followed, discarded Grace's remaining belongings in public bins. By December 6th, police had narrowed their investigation to Jesse. When officers arrived at the City Life Hotel, he attempted to avoid them, but was quickly detained for questioning. His apartment was searched. Using a chemical agent called luminol, investigators discovered Grace's blood embedded deep within the carpet. During police interviews, Jesse repeatedly changed his story. Eventually, he claimed that Grace had died accidentally during consensual rough sex. The evidence told a very different story. Grace had been strangled for several minutes. This was not an accident. It was a deliberate act. Grace Millane's body was eventually located in the Waitakere Ranges, approximately 21 miles from Auckland. New Zealand was shaken. Vigils were held across the country, as thousands came together to mourn a life taken far too soon. The Prime Minister issued a public apology to Grace's family, stating that Grace should have been safe. As the investigation continued, disturbing details emerged. Jesse Kempson had previous convictions, including the sexual assault of another British tourist just months earlier. Phone data revealed that, after Grace's death, he searched terms such as rigor mortis, body disposal locations, and fire temperatures. Investigators also discovered that he had photographed Grace's body after she died. On November 22, 2019, Jesse Kempson was found guilty of murder. As the verdict was read, Grace's parents broke down in tears. Jesse, sitting in the courtroom, showed no emotion. He was sentenced to life imprisonment, with a minimum of 17 years before becoming eligible for parole. He was later convicted on additional charges, including rape and assault. This is the story of Grace Millane, a young woman with her whole future ahead of her. Independent, kind, adventurous. Her life ended far from home, but her memory lives on through the work of her family, who continue to support charities dedicated to ending violence against women. Grace should be remembered, not for how she died, but for how she lived.